I'm here with Margaret Cresta, known as So Vigor on social media. Margaret is a little different than most of the coaches I've spoken to so far, in that her health and fitness journey actually started with her wanting to gain weight. And so her journey to build muscle and feel really fit and really strong eventually led her to realize she wanted to help other people do the same thing. And now 163,000 people follow her for workouts they can basically do anywhere on Instagram. So, Margaret, welcome.
Hi, well, thank you so much. It's a great intro.
So Margaret, let's talk about like the very beginning of your story. So, you got started wanting to gain weight. You were in college and like feeling really stressed and underweight and like lost a lot of weight, I think, from the stress due to college, which like can just be really overwhelming when you're a freshman and like trying to figure out like your life and make friends. So yeah, let's talk about that. Take me back to the beginning.
Yeah, so my whole life I was definitely very active. Like even before college, I was always like, I did cross country, I ran a lot. But and I was always in good shape. But when I did hit college, I would probably say like even the second year is when I started to lose weight. And I didn't necessarily know I was losing weight. People would tell me I was losing weight. So that's when I started to be like, that's like weird. I think just the stress of school, lack of proper nutrition, and just not really knowing, like, just there was so much newness in college. And I had a couple like changes in life that happened that I think just made me lose weight. And so when I would go out with friends, they'd be like, Margaret, you're so skinny. Like, are you okay? People would say, like, eat a cheeseburger. Like, come on, eat. And I'm like, I'm not trying to like lose weight. It's just happening to me. So for me, that was very stressful because I felt weak when they said that. It started to take a toll on me mentally. So I wanted to be like a strong person. I didn't want to be like a skinny, frail, or the way they kind of said it. I didn't take it as like a positive. So it kind of made me want to start looking for solutions. So I started looking towards the gym, researching online, like nutrition, and just kind of getting very overwhelmed by all of that. But that really just started my interest, I think, to really want to work out and see myself, get strong, like physically, but at that time, even more mentally too.
Mm. And so when you were researching kind of what to do and getting overwhelmed,
Hmm.
so easy, like you do one Google search of like how to build muscle and there's 80 opinions and you're like, whoa, 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 wait, I don't know what to do. Was,
Exactly.
was there anything that did stick out to you that you said, okay, I'm going to try that and I'll start doing that for now?
Yeah, I would say I remember like vividly being on like my couch at home and had like a pad of paper and a pen, and I would write down things like, I need to eat this much broccoli a day or this much this. And I really like made it way too difficult, but at the time I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to implement these things. I mean, I think I was looking too much at like the nitty gritty than the overall picture, but you know how Google searches can be. So yeah, I would say that also, later on down the road, I found like a workout program that I did follow, and that really did help me like begin to have structure in my workouts. But that was, I would say, like a lot later on that I
Mm.
started to learn a bit more about it.
So before you found that, as you were like writing these things down and trying to stick to, the nitty gritty, as you said, how did you start to build like your own structure at first and your own routine?
So for me, I knew like I had to build muscle. I think that's like was like the takeaway, but I had no idea like how that would happen. So I'd go to the gym. I did cardio. I did the machine hopping. So I would go to one machine to the next, and I think I did see results. Like I think I started to feel stronger, build some muscle, but it was I think I started to feel better than I had before. But even like looking back, I was so much further away from like, where I am now or where I end up becoming. So it was definitely a journey with that.
Yeah. And by machine hopping, do you mean like you were doing cardios, you said, and then when you just would you just kind of go around and do all those different like weight machines essentially?
Yeah, so I just like I had fun like hopping from machine to machine. Like I'm like, okay, I'll try this one, I'll try that one. I tried like the safer ones. Like I wouldn't go to the front of the gym where like all the guys were. Like I was Planet Fitness, so like I would just like I had like little machines that I knew were like safe to jump on. So I would pretty much just do that. And then I started to like think, oh, maybe I should do an upper body day and maybe I should do a lower body day. So like I started going to the gym and just doing like upper body machines and cardio, and then other days I would do lower body machines and maybe, cardio. So like I kind of just structured it myself. But at that time, I did not like, I think social media, I mean, maybe I just wasn't aware of it then. Like, I don't think Instagram was like a, I don't know, maybe it was. I didn't have those resources. Like today, you go online and, you can see so many different workouts and videos, and, now there's like WayBetter and stuff. I didn't know about any of that. So I was really like navigating it blindly. Also, like my boyfriend Brendan, he came from an athletic background. He knew so much about just fitness and exercise and all that. So he really helped me a lot. Like I remember I thought like, yeah, I'd have to like put on muscle, but I thought I had to eat like I would have to like lose weight. Like
Mm.
it doesn't even make sense. Like I was like, oh, I think like I have to work out, but I have to like maybe lose a couple of pounds so I can see the muscle. Like I was like so confused by the whole thing. And so he was like, no, you got to eat more. He's like, you gotta like you like laugh like no. So like then I would send him photos of my breakfast, and he'd be like, you gotta eat more than that. I'd have like an omelet or something. And I would add fruit, and then I would send him another photo like the next day, and he'd be like, that's better. And then I'd add toast, and he's like, okay, like that's what you should be eating. Like that's a full breakfast. So like my idea of like food and how much I should be eating for like the goals that I had, I kind of started to understand them with the help of like my boyfriend being like, yes, like it's okay to eat more food. In my mind, I wasn't really sure, you know, that I had to do that.
Yeah, so that's one thing that I'm still a little confused on, which is showcasing like the muscle that you're building. So is it like,
Mhm.
is this a universal rule in that like everyone can eat more if they're trying to build muscle, or if you're someone who's like actively trying to lose weight but build muscle at the same time? Like, is it that you should kind of stick to some of those other parameters where you're like reducing your calorie intake still, but there are other ways to build? Is that the like, I don't really
Yeah.
understand how it works still.
It gets so confusing. So ideally, like depending on like what your main goal is, like if like
Mhm.
a lot of times people want to lose weight and tone up. So like a lot of times they still have like fat in their eyes that they want to lose. So like ideally you would want to be like in a calorie deficit, like basically eating lower calories than you need to. So you do that, but then also you want to strength train. So you want to like lift weights. You don't want to do just cardio. So if you're strength training and using weights and you are in a little bit of calorie deficit, your body composition is just going to change as long as you're focusing on good nutrition as well. So like you will see muscle definition, but like in my case, like being such a like skinnier frame,
Mm.
I needed to still put on muscle, and in order for that to be like your main goal, you have to eat more, and
Got it.
you have to like pack on that muscle, pack on that weight. And so my in my situation, I still needed to form that like muscle mass, where
Yeah.
some people, they just want to see the muscle underneath and kind of thin out that way.
Got it. That makes so much more sense to me. See, this is like this was something I was Googling recently because I was
Mm.
curious about the sort of nuances, and there wasn't really a clear answer. So you just broke it down way better than the internet would have told me. Um, well, that's awesome. And so you mentioned to me when we first spoke to that you were like learning how to eat better as well, like while you were working at this restaurant and you were in a management position and you were trying to like avoid eating food like from the restaurant itself so that you could eat healthier and you were bringing in your own food. And that is something that like I very much identify with. Like I remember when I had a much busier schedule. Like there was one summer after college where I had like an internship and I was working in catering at nights and things. And like, um, it was really hard to eat well when I was on the go like that all the time. And like, when I worked in catering, they feed you whatever they're feeding like the wedding guests that night
Yeah.
and stuff. So it's hard to manage. So, how did you navigate that? Like, would you just bring in your own little containers? Did you meal prep? Like, what are some tips for people that are super busy in fields where like they're not just going into an office and they have like a fridge they can put something in?
Yeah, so as I progressed, like at first I wasn't doing that, but then as I progressed in that role, I started to, or progress in my fitness journey, I started to like take it a little more seriously. Like, yeah, I should have like a healthier lunch. And since I was in the food and beverage industry, I worked and I shared an office with like banquets and stuff. So like, they were so good to me. They would just give me all the amazing, tasty lunches and
Mm.
desserts, and I started to eat them too. I mean, they're great. But I wanted to feel good as well. And so I actually, at first, like my first, like, getting my feet in the water, so to speak, I started to do it was like a TB12, which is like Tom Brady's like plant based
Oh
meals. Do
yeah.
you remember? I think it was
Yes, I
by
do.
Purple Carrot, I think it was.
Yeah.
But it's basically like a HelloFresh. And so they would send like everything I needed to make the meals. And that really helped me learn how to cook because I didn't have to be overwhelmed in the grocery store, and I was able to like kind of prep these meals that they're like, okay, you're gonna make these this week. So I would, there were enough for 2 servings. So what I usually do when I cook too, is like I'll make enough for like the next day. I'm not a big meal prep person. Like I don't like to do like meals for 4 days in a row. I just not my preference, but for me, like I cook dinner every night, so I'll make sure I have an extra serving for lunch. And so that's what I would always do. And then I would bring that to work. And I feel like it's really simple that way. And because if you're gonna cook yourself dinner, like you make extra serving for the next day. It's like
Mm.
it's easy. And when I go to restaurants, I try, and it's like midweek, I try to pick something that I know I could probably have the next day as well. So like for me, like I might get like a chicken piccata or something like that. Restaurants serving sizes are like double or quadruple. It's like
Giant.
huge. And if you're eating like a breakfast, a lunch, a snack throughout the day, when it comes to that like dinner meal, you're not, you don't need to eat all of that, or you don't want to eat all of that a lot of the time. So like I'll be like, okay, this is like a dinner size, like, and I'll take the rest home and I'll have that for lunch tomorrow. So like that really helps me stay on track, which is like for me, it's been like such a key of my consistency.
Mm. That is really smart, and it sounds like you've gotten really good at portion control that way.
Yes.
Because that's like one of my biggest qualms with eating out at restaurants, which I love to do, but sometimes they bring me the biggest plate in the world, and I'm like, I can't. Why do you make it so big? I always take it home too. I'm like, this is so unnecessary. It's humongous. Like, I don't need a piece of salmon that's like the size of my head. It
It's
doesn't make any
huge.
sense.
It's
And
so
then you
big.
look up like normal portion sizes, like what you should be eating at home according to health experts. And they're like, oh, it's the 3 to 4 ounces. And I'm like, okay, well, this restaurant gave me 8 the other night, it looked like, according to my eyes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I know. And that's why I say like I think if you're eating like breakfast, lunch, and you're not like skipping like a bunch of meals, like when it comes to like that dinner or whatever, like you're gonna want like what a serving size really is, or a little bit more, So I think once you start to like eye that, and like you kind of it's just enough food. And if you wait, I always say to my boyfriend, because he loves to eat a lot, like, and he's a bigger guy, he's 6'5", and so he'll eat so much. But I'm like, wait 10 minutes, like, before he wants to order something else, and that 10 minutes usually will determine if you really need more food or not, or if you want more
Yeah.
food. So that's what I always say to him.
Yeah. 10 minutes and water. It's a good
And
rule. um, well, that is such good advice. I'm gonna like start to remember not taking eating entire portions at restaurants, which sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but that's really good advice. And so what point, so this was like you were out of college after a little while, you were in this job. Um, what point made you want to pursue your personal training certification? Was like this around that time, or was it like, did you do your Instagram first? What's like the timeline there?
So I was actually thinking about this. So I think it was okay. So I was working that job, and there were other like life things going on that just made me, want to start taking like life by my own terms in some senses.
Mhm.
Like I felt like I was letting life happen to me. Like, and at that whole time, I was really starting to get passionate about nutrition, especially. I feel like nutrition was like my biggest thing. I think if you look at my Instagram, you would think exercise is like my biggest passion, but it was really nutrition, to be honest with you, first and foremost.
Mhm.
But I started to get fascinated by this world and all that. And so I didn't necessarily think I was going to do what I'm doing now, but I just knew like what I was doing wasn't for me. So I decided to leave that job, which was a big decision for me. And I then was, I think around that time, I may have started posting on social media, but it was, not by no means like an account that I expected to see grow the way it did. It was more or less just like I was sharing some of my like smoothies and, things like that. And so at that time, I really just wanted to like learn more. I was also very into like the entrepreneur world. Me and my boyfriend would sell resistance bands online. So we were trying to like experiment with that. So I started sharing like resistance band workouts to kind of help like that other business. And so it kind of all came in that way. And so that's like what I think, I was doing so many other things to like, like make a living as well. But I think that that's what, around that time is when I really was like starting to post more often on social media. And then eventually people would ask me like, oh, how many sets, how many reps, how much weight should I use? And I'm like, oh my God, people are trying these workouts. Like in my mind, I thought that was crazy because I wasn't posting them for them. So I eventually was like, I should probably get certified in this because I don't want to give people bad advice.
Mhm.
And so I did that, but I didn't necessarily see myself as like a personal trainer. But learning about it and then hearing how many people it was helping like really like fueled my like passion for it even more. And I was like, oh, I would like love to help people with this. And in the beginning I shared a lot about my journey from being skinny to putting some muscle on, and a lot of people was able to relate to that, and that was really cool to see.
Mm. Yeah, I remember you telling me that like finding this online community
Mm.
was really important for you, especially because other than your boyfriend, you didn't really feel like you had like a support community or like a place to go to talk or share about this stuff because the people in your life were sort of dismissive of what you were trying to do on like a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so for one, like I started that account again, not realizing like what it could be, or like that there were people out there doing similar things as me. Like I knew that was there, but not to the extent it is. Like I
Right.
was blown away. But I'd quit my job. I started posting on social media. I made that account. I didn't tell my family or my friends that I started that account. I wanted it to be my opportunity to kind of like spread my own wings and like share my journey on there, and be able to do it in a way where I didn't have to have people watching me that I knew. It was just my way to protect myself, I think. So I did that. And at home, again, I was doing those TB12 meals. So like it was plant based, and that was very different for my family, especially like, what is that? Like, why are you eating that? Like, I feel like plant based has come such a long way now, and it's a little
Mm.
more mainstream. But even just a few years ago, it wasn't that common. So I was very defensive at home, and so for me, like now working out a ton and eating all very healthy, like I knew that I would probably get picked fun of. So I just wanted to share it myself, and then I was able to find this amazing community of women especially that are exercising all around the world, sharing their recipes. And, I would talk to them every day. Like they would comment on my post, I'd comment on theirs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. Like I didn't understand that there are so many people out there doing the same exact thing as me. And that's what like put it in perspective. It was really cool.
That is so cool. And do you think that that was something that you needed? Like, did you need that community and that support to kind of like keep going or feel better every day, whatever it was?
Definitely. I don't think I realized that I needed it, but I definitely have grown so much from it. At first, when you're like on social media, a lot of the people that you connect with are people, again, like I said, like that are doing similar things as you. So like those were like the first kind of people that I started building this community with, and they definitely like let me know I was on the right track. Like girls lifting heavy in the gym. Like I didn't see that at my gym very much. So I'm like, wow, like look at these people doing it. Like it like reassured me I was on the right track. And in terms of like motivation, it definitely helped motivate me, especially just like seeing other people doing it. And then again, when people were starting to do the workouts that I was sharing, like that was another level of motivation and accountability.
I say this in, in every episode, so I'm so sorry, everyone. But like that, that's what I think is so powerful about like social media and like the WayBetter app and just things like that where you can connect with people and have that support because there are lots of people who don't have that support in their lives. Like you're a great example of someone who didn't, and like look at you now, you have like all these people that you're inspiring and teaching how to do things, and they gave you a lot back in return. So yeah, I think that's really important. And do you think like I was thinking about this the other day, do you think that the way that we view like people prioritizing their health is changing? Like even when I think back to like your story or like my own, even just from a few years ago, like I've gone through big ebbs and flows of trying to take my health seriously. And like I remember I had a group of friends where we used to meet every like Tuesday night to like watch TV shows or movies and stuff, and like it was the weekly thing that we would order pizza. And I like just noticed I'd been eating really badly consistently, and I was like, I want to do something different. So I was like, guys, I'm not gonna go in on the pizza. I'm gonna like bring like a salad instead. I just like need. And one of my friends just like really made fun of me and was like, that's lame because like in society we think it's cool to like eat whatever and drink whatever, but like somehow still naturally be thin. It's like really weird. And now I feel like the conversation is changing. And I don't know, maybe my social media algorithm is also just feeding me a lot more people who are like taking care of their health now. But I do think like we're able to like build these accounts and foster these conversations in a way that I don't think was the case a few years ago. I mean, even as you said around like the plant-based eating.
I definitely think so. I think, you know, we build relationships, throughout our lives, and sometimes we bond over, partying or like, there's so many things we bond over, and or drinking or whatever. And so sometimes like those are your friends that you do those things with, but it's okay to be the person to like change that as you get older. Like I think even with some of my relationships, like I've grown so much. Like I do like to like have a couple cocktails and have a great time, but for the most part, like I like to read a lot now. Like I like to do those things, and so and exercise. So take a class. So like with me, with my friends sometimes like I try to, or with family, I try to implement like, hey, when we hang out, like we can do this together, we can do a yoga class or whatever. And everybody wants to kind of try other things out. And I think it's helpful to like try to change that relationship with sometimes with people, because you can have you can be that person for somebody to like do those things, and they may actually really like it, because we're so used to those patterns of what we're used to doing together.
Mhm.
So I think that, yes, like sometimes you may get fun of, but there are times like if you're consistent with it enough, like people are like, yeah, I want to try that.
um, so I have a couple questions about nutrition again, because you mentioned like that used to be your main focus. So what are some of the like key things about nutrition that you also want people to know? Because you're definitely like a workout expert at this point. I like love seeing the workouts that you post. I'm like, I could do that anywhere. But you obviously know a lot about eating as well. So, other than like eating more or less depending on your goals for muscle gain, was there anything else that you learned about nutrition that you just thought like anyone should know and sort of like implement into their routine if they're trying to get healthier?
Yeah, a few things. I think it's very overwhelming, of course, to know like how much like what you should be eating in general. Like, especially when someone has a goal, the first thing is like, I just don't know what to eat or whatever. I think just like, it's so simple, but eating whole foods for one, like things that are not processed, like those small changes like make such a big difference in even just the way you feel. And I think one big change I have made, especially like as of even recently, is my whole outlook of nutrition and exercise is a lot different than it was like with me trying to just put on muscle. Like, yeah, those are still my goals, but I think I just think of it more of like, I want to feel good. The exercises I choose and the exercises I even share now are they're like fun circuits that you can enjoy doing. They're not necessarily like you kill yourself in the gym. It's like just simplify it, like just move, like just exercise, like move your body. And same with nutrition. It's just like, have some whole foods, like have some avocados, like have fruit, have vegetables. Don't always buy the things that come in packages. One thing though that did really help me, I did see a lot of changes with, is just increasing like my overall protein intake. And I do talk a lot about that with my clients because I just noticed so many changes when they do it. And also that was one of the biggest changes for me. A lot of people do undereat on protein, and a lot of us love carbs and fats, and that's okay, but protein is really such a key piece. It's going basically the more muscle you have, the more you're able to just like burn calories. And in order to do that, you do need protein, because protein is needed for like everything in the body, our hair, our skin, our nails, but also when we're trying to like even put on muscle or just feel good. Sometimes protein is a key thing, even for energy and just helping you like put on muscle. So I think, having like a protein source like in your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, and just kind of sometimes even hunting for those things. Like, okay, like where am I going to get my protein in my breakfast? Like, should I have the French toast, or should I have like maybe eggs and maybe a piece of French toast? And so like just kind of being mindful of that has really helped, I think, me have balanced meals and just like feel better, and also like achieve those goals that I want working out as well.
Mm. And when you were mostly eating plant-based, do you still eat mostly plant-based, or did you kind of like change it up after doing purple carrot, I think it was?
Yeah, no, I'm not plant based anymore, and I wasn't fully. I just had ate a lot of plant based options, but I
Yeah.
still love plant based foods, and
Yeah.
I would love to be fully plant based one day. But at the moment, I just for my convenience of my life, I'm not.
Yeah. Well, so in that, like, what are ways that people can get a good amount of protein in, that's not meat? Because I know we all like we just assume, okay, meat easy. But if like for some reason you don't eat it or whatever it is, what are like some other ways that you would recommend for people to just like sneak it into meals more?
Yeah. So yeah, for seafood, I guess that's technically meat.
Yeah.
Just so everyone knows, seafood is loaded with protein. So like shrimp, salmon, all that is like protein, protein, protein. But in terms of not seafood, you could get it through just like even seeds, like hemp seeds, like pumpkin seeds, like just sprinkling it on things like chia seeds. There's protein in that. Also, chickpeas have protein in them. Tofu is a great alternative. Um, I would say like finding like little ways to even just sprinkle it on your food, like those seeds, are one way to just really like up your protein intake. And it's you
Mm,
can really sneak it in. You can put it in your shakes. You can put it on like your salads. Um, and they're really good for you. They're really good for your brain because they also, some of those that I named are high in fat, but they're good fats. They're really good for your overall brain function and how you feel.
Yeah, I love sneaking chia seeds into into smoothies. And
Yes.
what's your take on like protein powders? Do you use those? Do you throw them into things? What are like my friend Laura is pursuing a nutrition certification. Like she's in school right now. And she was telling me all about like the amino acids you need and things like that. But is
Mm.
there um yeah, I guess like is there a specific protein powder that you like or do you recommend people use them?
Yeah, so I do use protein powders because I just like them a lot. So I make them in smoothies, I bake with them. I just find it to be an easy way to like get more protein in.
Hmm.
So I really like them. If you're someone that is plant-based, I would recommend looking into like a plant-based protein powder just because a lot of proteins that are plant-based, they're not necessarily like complete protein sources. You would have to like look it up and make sure you're getting enough complete protein sources, and that again goes with like the amino acids that you were talking about. um, and a protein powder, a good one, it'll probably say it on it, will have the complete sources of protein so that you're able to even like build muscle from it, and it's necessary for your diet. So I think like for a lot of plant-based or vegan eaters, like investing in like a good plant-based protein powder is a really good idea.
Mm. Yeah, I was really curious about this after she was telling me about it. And yeah, you're right. They most of them do say like all the essential amino acids, or I think that's like the
Yes.
thing that you look out for to make sure that you get it.
Yeah, and a lot of times they have to, and I don't want to, I'm not 100% sure what the two are, but I think it's like brown rice and um, something else. Like the two of them, a lot of times are on the label because those are the two that are needed to help make the complete protein source. I have to like double check, but it's something like that. So, but yes, it'll say like complete protein source on it. That's what you
Yeah.
want to look for.
Good to know. I'm thinking about I like can never commit to a protein powder, so I go to the store. You know, they make like the little sample sizes. So I keep like picking up random ones and trying them, but I just have to like bite the bullet and buy like actual
Buy one.
container. Yeah, it's like time, but I was being picky about it like based on the labels and stuff. So this is good for me to know selfishly, but it's great advice. The last coach that I talked to this season, Polly, she said the same thing. She was like, protein was the key for me. And she had a weight loss story. She lost 50 pounds in quarantine. And that was one of like the main pieces of advice that she said too. She was like, protein in my meals was like the number one winner.
Honestly, it's one of the, other than overall nutrition, it's one of those things I look for when I like work with a client, is like what their protein intake is, because often it's usually pretty low, and just by like bumping it up, like it's gonna, one, make you feel better, but also like help you reach those results. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm all for protein. I'm like such an advocate. I feel like I always talk about protein, but it's because like I've seen such a change with protein.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great, great advice. I'm definitely taking that with me, as I just said.
Yes.
And so, Margaret, I feel like you have so much knowledge to like share with people just from, your own journey. You've like come so far, as you said, just from not knowing what to do in the beginning to now like having all of this expertise. I mean, you know what amino acids are. That's pretty big
Yeah.
for someone who like didn't know what to do at the gym at first.
That's
So
true. That's very true.
so that's like amazing. And if you could like look back at your journey and think back to the very beginning and just like think about yourself or anyone else who just wanted to get started on a health and fitness journey, if you had like one piece of advice, what would you say?
Probably start. And the reason why I say that is because for the longest time, I would just like do the research, look, and like I never actually did anything about it. Like I just like collected the research. And so like just start, and don't complicate it. Exercise, move your body, even if that's just like 30 minutes a day. Like just move your body. Try to make those small changes. If it's having protein in one of your breakfasts, like I mean one of your meals, like your breakfast, like that's a huge step, and once you're consistent with that, like you're good. It doesn't have to be all in, it can be little small steps as long as you're consistent. So I would say start, don't overcomplicate it, and enjoy it. You don't have to spend an hour in the gym every single day. Like just exercise, move like 30 minutes. You'll be in a good place.
Mm. And are there workouts that you would like tell people to do if they like I'm gonna ask this selfishly because I have not really worked out this week. I've been like in a very tired slump. And so are there like any workouts you would tell people to do, you know, even just like if it's a 20-minute thing or just like make sure you do this, even if you missed 4 days in a row. If you need to start small again, do like this one thing. It's good for you.
Yeah, I would say I love like just resistance training. So like in resistance training, it could be like using your body weight or bands or adding in some dumbbells. Um, I mean, I just kind of like play around with them. Like sometimes I put them on my shoulders. I do like a squat, and then I press. I feel like that's one of my favorite exercises because it moves your entire body. So I would say like exercises that you know use your entire body. So
Mm,
I would say squat for one. It's like it's such the most common exercise, but it's like the biggest bang for your buck. Like if you don't have a lot of time, you got 20 minutes, like do like 3 sets of squats. Like that's a great compound exercise that is great. And then again, you can add in the press and get your shoulders
yeah.
and your arms. So it's a great exercise. Again, it's common, but it's common for a reason.
My trainer loves making me do those in our little weekly sessions and they feel awesome. They're hard, but they're yeah, you feel all the muscles working. She like has me lift the weights and it's good. I will say that 20 minutes of that will make you feel like you're in a much better place. That's good advice.
So true.
Yeah. Um, Margaret, this has been really fun. I have a little rapid round to send you off with, and then you are free to go. But I just like I've gotten such good advice from you. I'm sure anyone listening will as well, and just like really appreciate you chatting with
Oh, of course. I'm excited for this rapid round.
me.
I don't know what's gonna come at me, but
Okay, so well, I think you might know a couple of these, but the first one is what is one health myth you used to believe was true?
that I had to spend like over an hour in the gym to get results. And like I said, like even 30 minutes is a-okay.
Yep, it's a good one. Well, I feel like we just talked about this, but what's your favorite workout move and why?
I love that squat press. I really do. I just like I feel good when I do it. Just like even just with dumbbells, like lowering up and raising them. So yeah, probably that one. Anything with dumbbells. I love dumbbells.
Yeah, they're good. Okay, and a little would you rather? Would you rather do 100 push-ups or 300 sit-ups?
300 sit-ups.
Me too.
You too?
Oh yeah,
100%.
I
I
can barely do like 10 push-ups right now. That's a goal of mine. I it's a journey, so
It's an incredible exercise, but it's hard. Yeah, I feel the same way. Not my favorite.
definitely not my favorite, but also feels good, just like those squat presses.
For sure.
Oh my gosh. Well, Margaret, thank you so much again. This was really fun. I hope that you just like enjoy this beautiful summer in Rhode Island that we're having. And I'm sure I'll like see you in the WayBetter app soon and stuff.
Yes, and we'll have to go find some Newport lemonade next time I'm in Newport.
Yes. Yes, exactly.